Welcome back, Rebel fans. You're listening to another episode of the Rebel Talk presented by the Rebel Walk. I'm Cam Wicker, and as always, I'm here with.
Zach Mareth.
And today we're going to talk a little Ole Miss sports that's just been going on through the past week. I think it's been about a week since we talked to you guys. A little bit of football news. Go Bowl games coming up this weekend. State is coming to town this weekend for baseball. Transfer portal window is going to open up soon for football. Crazy coaching carousel going on in basketball right now. And the transfer portal is still going on right now too. And then we'll talk a little bit about NFL draft guys at the end, along with some spring football stuff that's been going on at practice. But we're going to hop right into the coaching carousel. It's been pretty crazy, Zach, to say the least, I guess.
No, for sure.
I guess it kind of all started last year with Bob Huggins stepping down from West Virginia, and then that was kind of like the first pull of things. And then into this year, obviously Ole Miss gets Chris Beard last year as well. But then the end of this year, it seems like just everywhere you look is a coaching change at a big program. What do you think about that? What do you think about the Kentucky opening right now? And what do you think about Calipari to Arkansas?
Yeah, it was interesting, Cam. For a minute, I was super, super nervous about Chris Beard. I thought for sure Arkansas was going to pursue him a little harder than they did, maybe throw a bigger offer at him. But they really didn't. And again, Beard turned it down quickly, which was good for him, kind of get the rumors out of the way and focus his attention to Ole Miss. We talked about it a little bit before, but it doesn't look like Kentucky's really going after Beard. So I'm excited to see who they get. It's going to be really weird seeing Calipari wearing the color red instead of blue. But it's interesting, dude. And when this all falls together, whoever replaces Kentucky, their school is going to need a replacement, and so on and so on and so on. So really until the start of next year and the summer and then heading into the start of next year, I think that's when we'll finally see who's coaching where. But right now it's just exciting, man.
Absolutely. I think Coach Cal and specifically it is like you said, going to look a little weird not seeing him in blue, but obviously kind of ended on a sour taste in Kentucky fans' mouth at the end of last season. Past couple seasons, I guess, really for Kentucky fans, not really the best ending for them. Some other schools that had some big name changes. Obviously, Coach Musselman, not in Arkansas anymore. He's at USC. DePaul used to be a pretty premier program in basketball. Been down the last couple of years. They switched to Chris Holtmann from Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Duquesne, they were in the tournament this year. I believe they lost their coach because retirement, I believe. Yeah,
I believe so.
Keith Thambra, I believe he retired. And Drew Joyce, former pro basketball player, he took over. He was the assistant head coach. He took over for Duquesne. So they have a shot to be back in there, having someone in that system. And then FAU, Dusty May obviously left. They got the Baylor assistant, John Jacobs. Louisville got Pat Kelsey. That was that Charleston team that played Alabama in the first round. That's who Pat Kelsey was coaching. Obviously, Dustin May went to Michigan. That was where Juwan Howard was at. And Vanderbilt, I think, will be the only team outside of Kentucky and obviously Arkansas with the coaching changes there. They have Mike Byington, I believe that's his name. He won the Sun Belt for James Madison University this past year, made it to the second round with them in the tournament. So a lot of coaching changes in college basketball as a whole, really. But a few changes in the SEC as well. Obviously, you're gaining Texas and Oklahoma too next year. I'm just excited to see with Coach Beard staying around, if this transfer portal stuff is going to pick up at Ole Miss, because we haven't really heard too much, which brings us to our next thing. Zach, if you want to introduce some of the guys that we're going to talk about this week for transfer portal basketball.
Yeah, let's do it, man. So first things first, Malik Dia and Noah Reynolds, both are going to be on campus this weekend, which is awesome. We talked about Reynolds, more of a point guard guy, traditional role for him. And Malik Dia, bigger body. He's around 6'9", 6'10", which is that type of forward piece that Chris Beard needs. So that's awesome. And then a couple more guys here. Deshane Montgomery, he cut his list to 4 schools. It was Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Georgia, and Southern California, of course, with Moss going there. So we'll see what happens there. And then a lot of smoke recently around Dre Davis, who entered the transfer portal from Seton Hall. 6'6", small forward, average, 15 points per game, about 6 rebounds. A really physical guy who you want to see Chris Beard be able to coach. He started in 36 out of 37 games for Seton Hall. So if you can kind of prioritize him, you need that forward, the guy who can get score in the middle of the paint, make a three, drive, do all those different things and just be a key piece of versatility for the team next year. Because honestly, I think that's really what they were missing this year, Cam.
Absolutely. I love to see this team add someone like Malik Dia and even Dre Davis, like you talked about from Seton Hall, just really picking up in the recruitment for him. Now he's in the portal. But I feel like Ole Miss, like we talked about before the podcast, John Ball's not really going to fix everything. This team's losing Matt Morrell. This team's losing Alan Flanagan. So this team needs that scoring in the paint. Like they didn't really have much last year. Obviously, Breakfield's going to come back. He has that threat to get in the paint, but you need a bigger guy down there that can score, get the rebounds that you missed out on last year. And then obviously you need the scoring that's at least going to replace either Matthew Morrell or Flanagan. You don't have to replace both of them, but you need to replace at least one of them because those are guys that were almost 20-point per game scorers. And if you don't have a guy that's probably averaging more than 15 next year, then it's probably going to be trouble for Ole Miss.
It is simply, Cam. Simply put, it's trouble. As good as Morrell was, he didn't have that give me the ball, I'm going to go drive in the lane and get a bucket type of capability, which is no disrespect for him. He was a lights out shooter, physical player, really talented, but that bigger body guy who can go drive and get a bucket in the lane is what I want to see Chris Beard get and pursue in the transfer portal.
Absolutely. I feel like we'll see some more news in the future about what Chris Beard is doing down there at the basketball program. Obviously, the portal, I believe, is not open too much longer for basketball. I'm not sure off the top of my head, though, but I believe that'll be closing soon. So you have to see if Ole Miss does anything there in the portal. Hopping into baseball, obviously, Arkansas. Ole Miss went to Arkansas this past weekend, faced the number one team in the nation. Got swept. Close games all around, though, Zach. It was, I think, 5-2 on Thursday night, 8-3 on Friday, 7-4 on Sunday.
Yeah, that's right.
And really, I think in all three of those games, you had a chance to win at some point in the game or a chance to at least extend on your lead. I believe they had a lead in two of those games. Riley Maddox did pretty much all you could ask for on Friday night. On Thursday night, sorry. But then Mason Nichols on Sunday. On Saturday, Mason Nichols, 4 innings. He really did outstanding for a guy who started his first collegiate baseball game. Really just a guy out of the pen closer in his previous outings, but really just a disappointing weekend for Ole Miss baseball. You had, like I said, you had chances to win and you just didn't really capitalize.
Yeah, the disappointment continues, Cam. Every time I watch this team, it feels like nothing clicks together. When we saw that national championship run, it was pitching was lights out, hitting was there. And if one of them wasn't, the other one was able to pick up their slack. And that's not happening right now. When the pitching's off, the hitting seems to be off. And when the hitting's on, the pitching seems to be terrible. When the pitching is decent, there's no sort of offensive activity. It's a hard watch right now, I'll be honest. And, they got an extra week of rest. The Murray State game got canceled on Tuesday. And hopefully with your in-state rivals coming to town, you can get something going, some sort of motivation. State, they're a very gritty team. They're 6-6 in the SEC. They just took a huge series win over Georgia. So they're coming in here rolling with some momentum. They had the benches clear against Georgia on, I believe that was Saturday. That was entertaining. I'm sure we all saw that. But, they are going to bring the energy, and they're going to make sure Ole Miss fans know that they're in Oxford. So if we don't come ready to go, it could be trouble quickly, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know until planning for this podcast that Ole Miss on a 7-game losing streak. You don't really realize it until you look up there at the schedule and see that. But the sweep against Kentucky, you lose in the midweek to Memphis, and then you get swept against Arkansas. So it just needs some momentum. And then obviously the rain canceled the game yesterday against Murray State. So you didn't really get to pick up some momentum there going into the weekend. So you're just going to have to come ready to fire, like you said. You're going to have to come out with all things clicking. It seems like last weekend the pitching was clicking at times, with the exception of Liam Doyle kind of getting beat up on in that second game. But even then, they kept it close. But it just seemed like even the hitting was good at times. It just seemed like the situational hitting was maybe not best.
Yes.
Maybe you could lay a bunt down here. Maybe you could hit and run there. Sack fly in the outfield here, but it seemed like Ole Miss wasn't doing too much when you had runners in scoring position.
No, it just missed opportunity over missed opportunity on both sides of the ball. We've seen very sloppy defense. We saw that against Kentucky when they were here. So again, situational hitting's been a problem all season long. It's tough to watch, and I don't know what it's going to take to kind of change that. because I think this team has the talent to do so, but they have not shown it. They've not shown it at all, Cam.
Absolutely. And so those games, I think it's 7:30 or 7 p.m. on Friday, and then the opposite of that on Saturday, late game due to the Grove Bowl games being earlier in that day on Saturday. And I believe it's another late start on Sunday. Obviously, State doesn't have to travel too far. I think it's like 2 p.m. or 4 p.m., if I'm not mistaken on that.
Cool.
So I'll be there this weekend covering those
Yes,
games. Just make sure to tune in to that, catch those games. Obviously, moving into the SEC, going deeper into SEC play, Ole Miss is going to have to win some games here late to even just have a chance to get to Hoover, with the Hoover format not being in all the teams like it's going to be in the future. Moving into football, a little recruiting to start off real quick. We have Talib Graham and Dillon Alfred committed last week. Zach, if you want to talk about Talib Graham a little bit, I'm going to pull up his huddle stats real quick.
Yeah, absolutely, man. A really physical player. They list him as an edge. He's 6'2". He's 240 pounds. He's from Daphne, Alabama, which is on the Alabama Gulf Coast. So a little bit of a drive for him to Oxford, but first team all-county player. Like I said, quick hands. You guys are going to see in the film, his ability to shed blocks stood out to me. But again, he doesn't really have the size or the length to be, I would say, an edge rusher in college. So if he puts on weight, there's no reason he can't be a D tackle. Schools like Auburn, Florida State, Kentucky, Tulane were after him, and he's very good. Randall Joyner tweeted out the shark for him, which doesn't happen too often. So I think that says enough for Graham. But yeah, let's see the film, Cam. This is awesome.
Absolutely. I believe, like you said, Graham, quick step off the line. When I was first looking into him, I wasn't too familiar with him. So I seen linebacker when I committed, and I figured maybe middle linebacker. I was like, okay, he's pretty big for a middle linebacker. Then saw he was off the edge mainly. Obviously, he's not too small. Starting off is probably traditional size when they're coming into college. But if he can get up to 250 pounds, 260 pounds, and he could be something dangerous on the field. If you watch this here, he has a really quick first step. At pretty much every one of these plays, he's just all over the backfield, right there after the quarterback. And some of these guys in these videos, obviously, this is high school football. But some of these guys are pretty big. This guy's going up here. This is a pretty big guy. You got to remember this guy's 6'3", 240, so he's going to make other people look normal sized, other bigger people look normal sized. He's just in the backfield. That's a run play, man.
It's tough to really hone in here, but if you go and watch these on your own time, just his hands and the speed and his ability to shed these blocks is impressive. Truly. Here we go. Boom. Yeah.
Absolutely. I believe one of these plays over here, he has like an option to like have a cheap shot, and he doesn't go for the cheap shot either, which is what you like to see out of, I guess, especially a high school player.
Right.
And really what I see out of him too is he has a really good form, like really good form tackling. And that's not, I guess, highly known for high school players, not really well taught along high schools. There are coaches who teach it well, and obviously Daphne, Alabama was doing this really well here. So I believe Talib Graham has that ability to be next level talent, and obviously
for sure,
Coach Golden and Joyner went after him, and I'm sure we'll see more of him in the future on social media and coming up into his signing day in senior year. So next we're going to go into 3-star wide receiver Dillon Alfred, Saraland, Alabama, high school, Saraland, Alabama. Really just reminds me of Elijah Moore, kind of Dayton Wade guy. Get him out in space, throw him the ball, just let him work. Here's the film here. He's at the bottom of the screen. This first play. You won't be able to see him to the throw. And he just takes this one to the house. Long play here.
85-yard house ball.
Breaks the tackle right there. And I love that he wears, I think he's the 80 number right there. I love that. You don't really see a lot of high school guys wear 80. He has a lot of these plays in here where he's just catching the screen passes. Really just, it doesn't seem like he does too much in the offense other than, just getting the ball out in space to him. But obviously Lane Kiffin loves to do stuff with these smaller receivers that are quick. And if you can get a guy like this on a jet sweep or just in motion to get the defense off balance, that's always best for Lane Kiffin's offense. Here's the bottom of the screen. I think this is one of his tougher catches right here. Back of the end zone right there over the top of the defender. So, yeah, Dillon Alfred, I believe, really kind of Winston Watkins type of guy when you're thinking about that. Winston Watkins Jr., another guy that Ole Miss has their eye on, really, when you're thinking about receivers. I believe if looking into the future, these guys obviously are a year behind. They might get up to that 4-star, but people have to just kind of, Ole Miss fans in general have to kind of just leave the stars behind. Kiffin's kind of getting into that point where he's going to go to the transfer portal. He's going to get those big name guys in the portal, and then he's going to go with the guys that he knows will compete to play out of high school and just come in and just compete, not transfer out immediately when they're not playing. Right. I think that's what you're going to see more in Lane Kiffin philosophies.
That's a great point, Cam. And I think Alfred, I think he's one of the best wide receivers in the country. Simply put, I think he will get that 4th star on the majority of platforms. He has it on some right now, but on 3 and 247, I don't think he does. He'll get that. Just a quote from Mike Espy here when he committed. This is the most polished and skillful route runner in the 2025 class. He can make a man miss, run a 4.4, go over the top, or take a screen to the house. Yeah, this dude's legit. And watching his film, Cam, again, comparisons that came to mind in terms of his route running ability off the top of my head were A.J. Brown, Elijah Moore, Mingo, Malik Heath, Trey Harris right now. His feet, his ability to turn and move his body with the speed that he has, it's unbelievable. I recommend everyone to go on his Twitter or go on Mike Espy's, and you'll find some really good footage of this kid. He's going to be an absolute dog. He is a Mississippi native, too. So that's cool. He did transfer to Saraland for his junior season. And he also got to play with Ryan Williams, who was basically the best wide receiver in the country out of the 2024 class. So he's going to be developed at Saraland. And with the training he's doing with Espy, the workouts he does with Saraland, along with the talent that he performs, the talent that he has to play with there, it's great. And he's going to be prepared for college the second he enters Ole Miss, whether that's as an early enrollee or normal for summer camp.
Absolutely. Just keep an eye out for more commits. Obviously, Graham and Alfred, most recent, they were, I believe, a couple days apart. Like one was like Saturday, this past Saturday, and then one was Tuesday.
Yeah.
That was Alfred. Some upcoming visits for the recruiting of football at Ole Miss. Deshaun Brame, 4-star tight end from Darby, Kansas, top 100 recruit. He'll be here this Friday. Not sure if he'll be staying for the weekend, but usually when those guys come in, they stay for the weekend. So we'll see if he gets to see those Grove Bowl games for the first time, be one of the first recruits to see those. And then obviously keep an eye out for Winston Watkins Jr. I haven't seen too much momentum picked up there, but obviously that Ole Miss was thrown into the conversation in previous for weeks. Sure. And then 4-star edge, CJ May from Highland Home, Alabama. He's 6'4", 225. I believe Ole Miss is linked to him in pretty much every major platform, every major recruiting platform you look on.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye out for Winston Watkins, CJ May, maybe Deshaun Brame, depending on how his visit goes this weekend. Spring practice is kept rolling. Spring practice ends tomorrow. They'll be wrapping that up for the Grove Bowl games this Saturday, April 13th at 3 p.m. What are you most excited about this weekend, Zach? Seems like a lot of stuff is going on this weekend. A lot of crazy things, a lot of new things.
I mean, originally it was the scrimmage, but that's not happening. So when you have Joey Chestnut in town, my mind just immediately goes to the hot dog eating competition, Cam. It's a little gross for those who, like if you watch it, it's just an experience. I'll say that. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw clips of this going viral on ESPN, Bleacher Report, all these huge media platforms. I think it's going to go crazy on the internet, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I don't know if you saw, Cam, but tonight they just told all students that it's right field rules, meaning if you're 21 or older, you can bring a cooler in the stadium and your own alcohol. Like, it's going to be packed out.
Extra incentive for the students, man. You got to pack it out.
I am really excited to see this, Cam. I'm curious to hear what you're looking forward to.
I'm really looking forward to that hot dog eating contest. I want to see how the linemen do in that. I think it was Nate Caleppo said that he thinks Diego Pounds is going to win it. Called him a big boy on the press conferences yesterday. So I like to see what goes on there. Then obviously the more of the football stuff, 7-on-7 is going to be fun to watch. Obviously, the receivers versus those corners, especially a lot of those new DBs, when you get to see Trey Harris against those guys. I hadn't seen too much of Jordan Watkins this spring, but later here in these last couple of practice, we've seen him out there kind of fully participating. So hopefully he'll be out there for the 7-on-7s. I'm excited to see KJ Riscano. I've been seeing him all spring. I think we're going to see him out the backfield catching passes tomorrow. Obviously, I'm excited to see those middle linebackers in the middle. Chris Paul Jr., Kari Coleman seems like he's got a little better in the offseason. I'm just really excited in general to see what the skills challenges are going to look like, whether that's going to be like combine-like or like pro day-like, whatever that's going to be like. I kind of want to see something more with the linemen other than the hot dog eating contest, kind of something maybe to show off their size and strength a little bit, because those are some big guys, and I think a lot of people don't realize how big of a line that Ole Miss has this year. And then really, obviously, a lot of people are going to want to see that defensive line do something. So got to get Walter Nolan involved, got to get Princely involved. And it'd be really interesting there to see what they're going to do with the offensive line and the defensive line.
Absolutely. And just going back to Lane, like, he's so smart. He really just has this stuff down. He's getting fraternities and sororities to compete against one another with different competitions. That's a huge draw of the students here. And then again, the right field rules it's going to be packed out. It's good, Cam, because you look at the spring game last year or even the year before, there's not many students there aren't many people there. So for Lane to kind of make this an event and really a destination that kids want to go to on Saturday for the Grove Bowl, it's going to be electric, man. And I'm excited. Again, we'll both be there, so be sure to stay tuned to us for updates.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get on the sideline for a couple of those things. Get some pictures and some videos. We can post for you guys and show you guys kind of some up close views when we're there. The spring transfer window will open back up next week after the conclusion of practice this Saturday with the Grove Bowl games. Tuesday, April 16th through Tuesday, April 30th is the transfer window. This isn't when they can, in smaller terms, this isn't making it where they can only transfer in that window. They can transfer kind of whenever they want. This is when their name has to be in the portal, though.
Right.
This is when their name can officially be in the transfer portal. Like, I guess you've seen Henry Parrish said he's going to transfer. Damian Martinez said he's going to transfer. Those guys will be able to officially transfer when those days happen. But obviously, with the college admissions and with the way that the spring semester is ending all across the country in different areas, people are going to have to wait to transfer to certain places.
Yeah.
But specifically for Ole Miss, really just watch out for the running back spot. Henry Parrish, Damian Martinez has kind of been linked since he's entered the portal. I mean, there's obviously a big name guy that Ole Miss is probably going to at least pitch something to. Don't know what the market really looks like for running backs right now in this spring transfer window, but those two guys for sure need to be kept an eye on if you're an Ole Miss fan.
For sure, you nailed it, Cam. Those two. Maybe another safety / cornerback type guy for Brian Brown in the secondary. But other than that, I don't really think there's a positional need on this Ole Miss roster. But again, you do have to look at who's going to transfer. Now, Lane said in his press conference, Ole Miss has never really had a player transfer who they wanted to keep, which I think is entirely true. And I think it's going to stay true. I haven't heard anything. I don't think there's going to be too many concerns next week. But people will enter. I don't think it'll be anyone major, but again, just keep your eyes out for that. And then obviously who Ole Miss is going to show interest in. I'm excited for that too.
Absolutely. And obviously a lot of people don't get to see the, inside or what we see with the reporting and stuff. But obviously we know how smart Lane Kiffin is, and just watching him do all this stuff and make a change here at Ole Miss is
get that man a drink.
making a change here at Ole Miss over these last couple of years, even when I was a younger kid growing up and watching Ole Miss play, just not that many people here at the university. Right. And seeing all the people in the student section, seeing all the people in the stadium, even just seeing all the people in Oxford, it's really just inspiring to see what Kiffin's done here, what Keith Carter's done here, what Coach Yo's done here, what all the coaches have done here. And I think that's kind of why Ole Miss has gotten so big. Not mainly due to sports. Obviously, this is a pretty well-known school, but the sports really has propelled this school, propelled this thing to a different level at this point.
No, 100%, Cam. We can sit here and say the school all we want, but when I came here from Chicago, one of the main reasons was because Ole Miss was excelling at football and Lane Kiffin's here and this team's on the rise. You know, athletics are a huge thing in deciding colleges, I believe, for everyone. So just to see Ole Miss popping off right now in terms of bringing students here, bringing the fandom up, and just getting the fans excited for this stuff, it's really entertaining, like you said.
Absolutely. Just some other things to touch on before we go. NFL draft is coming up in about 2 weeks. I believe it's the 25th or the 27th of April, if I'm not mistaken. Only really three guys off of big draft boards that I'm seeing, like Mel Kiper, those guys doing like 7 round drafts. Cedric Johnson, 4 to 7 round, probably you can see him there. DeAndre Prince, probably 5 to 7 in those range, and those rounds, and then Dejon Anthony, probably those back half rounds, 5 to 7, 6 to 7 too. Then I'd like to see Zamari Walton or Dayton Wade get a chance. A lot of those guys that maybe aren't on some boards always get a chance. You don't know what these general managers and coaches are thinking, but I have a feeling that Walton and Wade will get a shot if they don't get drafted.
Yeah, they deserve it, Cam. We've seen them ball out. We saw it all last fall, but again, Cedric, Dejon, and DeAndre they should all get drafted. So I'm excited to see what team they end up on. But again, Dayton and Zamari are dogs, man. They have all the traits they need to be NFL players, and I'm hoping they get a chance as soon as that signing period is available.
And that's the NFL draft, guys. That'll be in 2 weeks. Just keep an eye out for some Ole Miss players going in there. That's all we got for you guys today. We have some Ole Miss athletes kind of in discussion with us right now about doing some podcasts in the future. Don't really know what dates we'll do that yet, but just so you guys can look out for that. We're in talks, I think, with about 3 guys right now, looking about some other people, some other maybe coaches or other people involved as well. I know a lot of other podcasts are doing where they have some guests on, so that's what we've been working on, trying to get some guys on here for you guys to have some insight, some insider insight from the athletes. So that'll be soon. But that's all we got for you guys today. Make sure to tune into the Rebel Walk for all your Ole Miss sports needs.